Howdy-ho, America. Politics and trucking. Never a good mix. When you put the two together, it's usually a recipe for disaster. Tonight, a different approach. We're going to talk about 3 different stories, all of them crucial to our existence in the industry, and all of them bear a strange resemblance to exactly what we're dealing with in this day and age. We have a lot against us. It's mostly usually regulations. But strangely enough, we got a lot going for us too. So tonight we're going to talk about that. I'm Boss Man. I'm glad you could join us. Tonight on Frontlines, we're getting into some hot topics. A very fiery battle over delayed safety regulations and inaction from the DOT. A Supreme Court game-changing decision on Chevron and political moves that could reshape our industry. Stick with us. We're going to break down 3 different stories that I think basically demonstrates what our current climate is and what the future holds. And trust me, you don't want to miss this. Because one of these stories, I'm going to highlight one of our guests, one of his thoughts on it, and something you and a lot of viewers of my channel probably should think about before just taking it for granted that Chevron is in your back pocket. So stay tuned, be advised, it's a good show. We got a lot to talk about today. And I want your input. The whole reason I have this show figured up the way I do is for your input. I want you to tell us exactly what you think about life on the road, the news topics we're talking about, and exactly how it affects you. You can do it one of 2 ways. You can leave a chat. We got it right there for you. You can call our studio line at 860-785-3547. We'll have the number displayed on the screen throughout the show. I welcome your calls. I welcome dissent. I welcome opinions. I don't shoot down nobody. I welcome everyone. If you have an idea for a future show you'd like to see featured on Frontlines, send it to us in an email. Let us know you're thinking about us and you want to make a positive change for the trucking industry by sending us an email to thatstruckinnews@outlook.com. That's truckinnews@outlook.com. If you're feeling froggy, you've got a camera and you want to be part of the show, by all means, look at the link in the description. We have a StreamYard link set up just for you. Click on it and get set up through either my YouTube channel or my Facebook. And you too can come on here with the guests and give us your thoughts on ways to help make trucking great again. I almost messed that up. Here on Truckin' Frontlines, we are all about making trucking great again. And we are going to talk about tonight essential updates you need to know coming up.
Shall we begin?
From the trenches of trucking experience and a passionate heavyweight in the Truth and Broadcasting Network, welcome to Truckin' City News Frontline Podcast, hosted by the most opinionated broadcaster on YouTube, Boss Man.
Howdy-ho and welcome. I'm glad you could join us. Sorry about the delay, folks. It does happen from time to time. These computers need updates. They don't run it. I tried to, but in this case, I didn't have an internet connection unless I did the restart. and the update. But we're here. Technical difficulties or not, we are here. We are talking to you with some special guests, the usual cast and crew. Let's bring them on. Let's start making trucking great again. One day, one load, and one video at a time. Welcome to Driving with John. How are you doing, my friend? Life treating you okay?
I'm doing absolutely wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. You had recent opportunity to make a video, which we're going to talk about here shortly. In the meantime, there was a video you made a while back that I thought was particularly amusing. I thought I'd give you a minute or so to kind of highlight that. The video itself was quite interesting in that, come on, get off the screen. It was talking about having all kinds of game. Do you recognize the screen and all that? I thought that was a nice video.
That's
I
from like
enjoyed it.
3 years ago, man.
Really? You know,
Yeah.
it's weird. It came up in my feed and I watched it and I thought, you know what? That would be a good conversation starter. So what was going on in your mind when you made that? Was that one of your first blogs or was that something you made down the line?
Oh, wait, was that a blog?
Yes, it was. It was one of your vlogs.
Oh, okay. Honestly don't remember. I wanted to try blogging, so I did a challenge where I blogged for like a month straight every day.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I hated blogging. Much respect to all you bloggers out there. I can't do it. So
Well, I tell you what, you even mentioned it in the video. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, John, but you know, it's one of those things where you learn by doing. You know, much like this show and an everyday experience we have here on Truckin' Frontlines, we learn by doing. And that's what the name of trucking is all about. You don't know it all coming in. You don't know everything you need to know. But by the grace of God and some nice people like us veteran drivers, you begin learning and you begin adapting. So that video and your discussion with me here today is testament to that.
yeah. I think at that point my channel was around 1,000 subscribers at that point.
Okay.
And I wanted to dabble in it. That was before I decided to go with the stories. So now I do stories and other random trucking videos. But yeah. I just it made me earn respect. It made me earn respect for like you and Fate and people that do blogs. It's not my thing. So.
Yeah, you've got an active channel. I'm glad to be associated and collaborating with you. So you make it fun, I make it informative, and we have somebody else on the panel that occasionally makes it grumpy. The grumpiest old codger in trucking today is with us as well. Grumpy, how are you today? Are you ready to talk?
I don't know. Am I ready to talk?
Well, sometimes you just are too shy for your, you know, how is it? Too shy for your shit.
Well, you know, my elders always told me you learn more whenever you're listening than you do when you're speaking. So I listen a lot.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're going to play that one, huh? All right. I see how you are. All right. Let me get on to story number one without any further delay. Okay. Story one is, and why my shortcuts are not working, I have no freaking clue today. Bear with me, people. Story number one talks about trucking safety in a rather unique way. Let me break it down for you. This story featured in Freight Waves. I had to double check because I got two different people I'm using from today. Breaks down the fact that the Truck Safety Coalition, along with some other groups, sent a fiery letter to Pete Buttigieg. And they're absolutely furious at some proposed rules for heavy truck speed limiters and AEB braking systems getting delayed. They want immediate actions. They say that these technologies seriously cut down on fatal truck crashes and serious injuries. Instead of action, we're seeing inaction. The DOT's delays are leaving victims and survivors hanging. There's no clear explanation from them, no accountability, and it's as if they've forgotten the promises that they've made to improve on truck safety. They're claiming they need more time to reach. Now, this is DOT. They're claiming that they need more time for research and stakeholder engagement. But come on now, how long do we really have to wait for this? Now, how many of you in the audience are honestly for action as opposed to inaction, especially when it comes to making a decision? Now, don't misunderstand my point on this, my place on this. We don't need speed limiters, and we certainly don't need the uncertain technology provided in some of the reports I'm hearing about automatic braking systems, albeit they're good for the industry. We just don't need to rush headlong into some unknown territory and creating an even more dangerous circumstance by which we have to sit here and answer for. So put your thoughts in the comments. Let us know. I'd certainly like to hear your thoughts on this. Let's go around the panel. John, what do you think about DOT? Do you think they're purposely delaying this, or do you think that there's something else going on?
I'm sorry, I was in the process of doing something. What are they doing?
They're delaying making sensible rules about using speed limiters and putting it in. In fact, they put an article out not long ago. They're putting off speed limiter rulemaking until next year or possibly 26. So, you know, they're not making any affirmative actions on the AEB technology rulemaking. So they're just sitting on it. They're not doing anything. They claim they want time to research and engage stakeholders. What do you think?
It's DOT. Purposely hold things up? I don't know. I think they hold things up because that's what I mean. When it's something that they don't see a benefit for, why are they in a hurry to do it? I think they're only doing it because the powers that be are pushing them to do it, but otherwise, yeah, it doesn't benefit them either way. So
no, it don't. It don't indeed. I want to say hi to WCF Invader, a few more guests we have in the audience. Glad you can make it, WCF Invader. Glad you can make it to Griff USMC. Hello from Houston, Texas. Stadium help and hurricane relief. God bless you. Doing the right thing. 7C's also in the house. Even a fool's thought to be wise if he keeps his mouth shut. Wiser words never given to Grumpy.
Hey, is that a compliment or what?
I'm guessing, yeah. Wise. Even a fool's thought to be wise if he keeps his mouth shut. There you go. A new face in town. My trucks. Whatever he said. Anyway, I can't publicly say it, but I agree. You know, when it comes to this AEB stuff, speed limiters, to me, it's a real dicey situation. I mean, personally, I really don't think there's a need to push it through at all. You know, I mean, who thinks any of this is really going to make life better for us? Especially when you're talking about sensors on the front of trucks that falsely give indications that you need to slow down for a bridge pillar, for God's sakes, or a ghost shadow that comes across, you know, on a near sunset day, you know, from the trees. You know, if it's coming through, sometimes shadows will set these things off. You know, there's two
bridges
sides.
like to set them off too.
Yeah, there's two sides to this whole technology circle. Let me spell it out for you. There's a pro-tech side, and this group basically embraces these new technologies, believing that they're crucial and the answer to every problem out there. They argue that speed limiters and AEB systems are essential for reducing accidents. I'm not with that camp. I'm sorry. I am with the anti-tech camp, and I am of the opinion that new technologies, often due to concerns about cost, reliability, and the impact on driver autonomy, they, like me, argue that mandatory implementation of technologies like speed limiters and these braking systems could lead to increased operational costs and potential mechanical failures. It can create a huge problem, not only for the individual, but the industry as a whole. I'd like to welcome a guest who has taken the opportunity to call our studio line and give you a chance. Introduce yourself and give us your opinion about the DOT's inaction as it relates to speed limiters and AEBs.
Am I on?
Yes, you are. Hello, welcome to Truckin Frontlines. Caller, what's your opinion?
So, my name's Garrett. I don't know about. I was heard different things about this. It was something that was turned over by the Supreme Court, right? The Chevron case.
Yeah, that's the story we'll be covering a little bit later on in the show. This just deals with the DOT's inaction to make decisions on rulemaking about speed limiters and AEBs.
Oh yeah, I think speed limiters are stupid. You limit a guy to only drive 55, and I'll fall asleep. I could never drive a truck cross country at 55.
I think you're right on the money. I mean, you're right there in the majority of most people's opinions. They can't see the sense in it. And what do you think, caller, about the idea that most say limiting the speeds to lower speeds, especially those talked about in previous committee hearings, is dangerous? What do you say about that?
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely dangerous when you're in a speed limited area where the speed limit's 70 miles an hour, and trucks are wanting to pass you going up hills, and you have trucks that are limited at 55 pull out in front of you and stop you from holding your. Frustrating. And second of all, it's usually the jippo companies like Swift and stuff that have these limiters in their truck, where they're newer drivers. They haven't learned to be considerate and back off and let the other drivers do their thing.
Good deal. Good deal. How many years have you been driving, caller?
14 years.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So this is your first time calling the show. How do you feel about this kind of show? Have you ever encountered this kind of show before, or is this one of your first?
Once before, and it was the same show. I don't think you were having call-ins at the time.
Yeah.
Not really the type that actually usually calls into shows like this. I'm just interested in the show, and I'm a truck driver, so figured I could call in and give some input.
Great.
And
well, I'm glad you did. I want more people like you watching the show, and like you right now watching the show. If you have an opinion or an idea what you think will best serve the trucking industry, I encourage you to do just like this gentleman here. Grab the phone, 860-785-3547. Give us a call. We want to engage people that have opinions that matter, that can help make trucking great again. Oh, you didn't give us your name to start it out. What's your name, sir?
No, my name is Garrett.
Garrett, I thank you for calling today. You, as well as everybody in the audience, have very valuable opinions. I seek them out. I welcome them. And I appreciate every call and every time you watch the show. Thank you very much.
All right. Can I say a few more things?
You may certainly.
You have another caller?
Yeah. I certainly don't want to hold the show up on one issue. So, yeah, go right ahead.
The brake assistant, where if a car pulls in front of you and it backs the truck off, again, going up the hill, you can lose the gear, have to downshift, and then again lose power, and it can be a dangerous situation. Again, more annoyances.
Yes.
I'm pretty good at annoying bad drivers on the road, but I mean, that's something that can't be avoided. And this is kind of off topic, but it's about trucking and the new electric Tesla truck. they're already super heavy. The truck and tractor alone, with all the batteries that it takes to run that thing, I can't imagine that being that safe, right? Like, I live in Reno, Nevada, and I see them driving all the time. I don't know if we've gone through a winter yet with them. I'm pretty sure what they do is they drive to Sacramento, drop off a load, and then they have to pick up a new truck and drive it back so that it can sit there and charge, because it takes so long to charge.
Yeah. A lot of the research and reporting that has been done so far, as I've been told, says these electric trucks mainly serve a regional market. They don't generally do over the road. So because of that, they're not sought out for OTR yet. And I've had shows in the past where we've talked about this, and we've dived into the concept of alternative fuels, possibly staving off for about another decade this necessity behind California's push for
hydrogen buses forever.
Yeah.
Everybody's afraid of hydrogen,
and it's some dangerous stuff. Yeah,
so are designed certain ways, or a combination of electric and diesel-powered vehicles like that. That would have been a better jump into the movement of getting electric-powered vehicles. We don't have the infrastructure to support it, and the battery capabilities. There are the new solid-state lithiums that the technology has gotten really far on. Right. I don't see them really moving into it just because they're not going to make money from it.
No, I agree with you, but
it'll be forced. But
yeah, we have to take a gradual step into the zero emissions profile. I think that's the smartest thing the trucking industry can do. And every time I have a chance to have a show where I can push that belief and hear from you in the audience, I'm going to do it. Unfortunately, today is not that show. We have some other topics we do need to cover. I do thank you for your opinion. It is on record, and my show and this video will not go anywhere. So stay with us, my friends.
All right.
I appreciate the call. And anytime you want to call in and offer something, don't hesitate.
Pop in more often.
Please do. No, you didn't cut me off. Please do. Become a subscriber, like the video, and follow us. We'll welcome your calls anytime. I thank you for the call.
All right, thanks.
When it comes to hybrid, you heard it right there, folks. We need to take more time and do more research. But on to the topic at hand. Griff USMC was talking earlier. He said, I'll delete both my truck, and I'd rather pay a fine than pay for a life for a retorted radar system. I think he meant retarded, and not be able to keep a safe speed because of some a-hole. Well, said conservatively. Thank you. Appreciate that. And I think your opinion, Griff, echoes with what was on the caller a moment ago. So I appreciate hearing from you on that one. 7C says, are they really setting it at 55? No, it hasn't been determined yet, but they're putting it off, I think, until mid or late 25 sometime in the year, because they don't want to stir up controversy during a public election, which we'll talk about in a minute. Any last thoughts, John?
Nope, just everybody make sure you hit the thumbs up, and there's a reaction button in the corner, has a heart and a bunch of other things. If you hit those, it helps this video out so more people can see it. And I would really appreciate it. So would he. So would he.
Yep, exactly. What are your thoughts, Grumpy? Haven't asked
my
you,
thoughts.
But move on. It's not going to move on.
Real quick, DOT, Department of Thoughts. That's what I think about that. And then as far as that AEBS stuff, that's accidental emergency braking system, because it likes to go off when it feels like most of the time.
You are the man with acronyms today. My word. You are just on fire. Look at you. Anything else, Frank?
I'm good for now. Go ahead and take me and mute me for a little bit, and I'll get back to you shortly.
Not a problem. I appreciate your thoughts on that, my friend. I'm going to move on to story number 2 anyway, because it is pretty controversial, especially in the news realm. So bear with me as I set up that. We are talking today also about Trump's decision for vice president. And you're like, how in the heck is that going to make a difference in trucking? Well, it will. Because as you can see on the screen, this man he's picked for vice president is, in every sense, a trucking VP. Now, he hasn't hit the stage yet, and he hasn't really said a whole lot. I'm sure he did, and I didn't record it or even, but I'm just going off of a story, which, as you can see here, is also in FreightWaves. And it says, just days after surviving his assassination attempt, Trump went on to the Republican National Convention and announced his pick for vice president. And it's none other than Senator J.D. Vance. Now, why does this matter to you and I? Well, J.D. Vance has already shown his support for truckers by co-sponsoring two key pieces of legislation. The Truck Parking Safety Improvement Act, which aims to create more parking spots for us, and the Drive Act, which would prevent the imposition of speed limiters on our rigs, the very thing we just got done talking about in story one. He also backs the rail safety bill and stands against electric vehicle tax incentives. Now, if that says anything about his position on electric trucks, it at least indicates it. This could mean changes for our industry. Folks, I mean, it will be a game changer. If Trump is elected, if he takes with him Senator Vance, who becomes VP, things could seriously take a turn. It could go from the way we see it now to a basically new landscape where really things could go in our favor. I mean, think about the possibility. When it comes to the Drive Act itself and its potential to prevent speed limiters, how do you think this will affect the industry going forward? If for nothing else, for the next 4 years. What do you think, John?
Well, I wasn't even aware he picked a VP, so kind of out of the...
Yeah. Well, he did. So, your audio, John. Fix your audio.
Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can. So, what's your thoughts?
Okay. Sorry, I had a call that came in. Sorry about that.
Yes,
so I didn't even know he picked a VP. So I know nothing about the guy, honestly. I'm definitely going to look into it. You're catching me off guard with this one. I'm sorry. I've been working on other things lately, as we'll discuss coming up soon. So,
Bucking Up Tyrants, man, just announced his profile. Thank you for the call, and thank you for the subscription. So, I mean, think about it. For the last 4 years, we've put up with Biden. We put up with Democratic solutions to all of the troubles we have in the trucking industry. If now, all of a sudden, Trump gets elected and we have a Republican-run Oval Office and a Republican majority in either the House or the Senate, what issues, other than what we see Vice President would fight for, what other issues would you like to see Trump tackle if he were able to get back to White House and help out the trucking industry?
well, I don't know. Are you talking to Grumpy or myself?
You, because he's muted. He's got something to do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, honestly, I don't know or the other guy or the third guy or the fifth guy, but whoever comes in, they better take trucking seriously because we need somebody on our side. I mean, it seems like lately they're just throwing regulations at us like pouring water out of a bucket right on our head. We need somebody to kind of be up there to help us out because, we all have a job. We drive a truck. It's not our job to run the country. We need those people to understand,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, only one person on this panel knows about peeing out of a boot. So, I mean, if anybody deals with regulations on a regular basis, we could talk to the man that knows more about peeing out of a boot than anything. What do you think, Grumpy? You think we got too many regulations on us? Would it be a refreshing thing to see Trump actually help us out?
Honestly, out of all the guys that are in the running right now, I only got two that I'm interested in, and that first one is Trump. So, yeah.
Yeah. Let me guess. You're a pro Ramaswamy guy?
What?
Huh? Were you interested in
No,
Vivek
he likes both main candidates. He just hasn't picked which one yet. He's splitting it
That's
down
right.
the middle right now.
Uh-huh. Talk about cutting down the acorn, right?
Yeah, well, I'm not interested in Jeff Dunham's live puppet, if that's what you're talking about. I'm sorry.
Think about it. You've got two sides. You've also got an independent, and you've got an election. We've got a chance for things to go either way. All right. Now, really think about it. Do you guys really think that politicians really understand what it is we face out here every day? And do you think do you think we have a snowball's chance in hell of actually getting someone fighting for us? John,
you're funny.
Yeah, seriously. Well, no, he put himself out for some reason.
Out?
No, you did. I don't know what you did.
I didn't do anything, man. You just kicked me out of here.
Bull. I wouldn't even look at the screen.
I blame you, 100%.
So what do you think? Do you think politicians have us in their radar, or do you think they just talk a bunch of hot air and just make a bunch of promises just to leave us hanging? What do you think?
I don't really want to talk politics, but if you're going to force me to, this is what I'm going to say. I don't care what politician you're talking about. They're out for whatever they want to get done. They don't give a crap about anybody else.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Yeah.
Call it like I see it, guys.
Yep.
Everybody out there has their own favorite.
I agree with you.
Well,
but
here's one
when it comes to politicians, they never have our best interest. It's always their best interest.
Here's one for you, Grumpy. Do you think the involvement of someone like Senator Vance in the Oval Office or in that kind of a position, do you think it will lead to meaningful changes as opposed to the current administration we have now? I mean, do you think it's possible we could actually have an administration fighting for us rather than what's currently there? What do you think?
You did say that this gentleman actually knows the trucking industry and all that good stuff, right?
He knows it better because he's fighting for anti-speed limiters, and he's fighting for safe parking, and he's also on the side of the railroad. So, I mean, that right there says he's for transportation.
Okay, well, that's fine and dandy, but let's see the true colors first. I mean, I don't care what political affiliate he is. I want to see it in black and white down on a piece of paper, and I want to see him prove his point, because every president, every vice president we've ever had, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And only a handful, if that, have ever kept their word and done what they said, because they allow the ones behind them to influence and push things, and they went ahead and go right along with them. And that's why, honestly, that's one reason why I think they don't want our good fellow American Trump back in there, because they cannot push him around like they can everybody else.
You know what? Honestly, it's more than black and white. I got to see it more than on a law that passes. I better see it showing me money in the bank, because if it doesn't, it didn't mean anything.
Well, think about it. If there's a positive change in the direction of not limiting trucks, and there's a positive change in the direction of research and time required to certify these technologies, and an incorporation of well thought out rules and regulations, as in what we'll talk about in the next story, I think there's a lot of room for improvement in the trucking industry. And your point about dollars and cents, John, is just around the corner if done right. Now this is regardless of whose political letter is in front, if it's an R or a D. If it's done right, better days ahead. That's all I've got to say. Have faith. We will have your back when it comes to trucking. Speaking of, where'd he go? Where'd he go? There he is. Boom. Build Back Better Trucking. Boy, don't just sit in the background. You better get up here and run your flapping gums too. What do you call 100 politicians at the bottom of the sea? Uh-oh. Here we go with the jokes again. Gotta make
that would be called a wind tunnel.
There you go. Gotta keep
That'd
it
be called
clean.
a wind tunnel.
Gotta keep it clean. This man,
I said a wind
this man
tunnel.
over here. Huh? A wind tunnel? Okay. This man over here is monetized. Let's keep it clean. Vance was a great pick according to 7Cs. Good point there. Think about automatic transmission is done for the truck, drive a long haul vehicle over the road. You should have to be able to float gears. Problem with that concept is a lot of people can learn to drive and learn to float gears, but they don't make automatics, or don't make manuals unless you pay extra money now. All the trucks today made all come standard with automatic transmissions. You actually have to pay to have a manual put in there, which I think is ridiculous, but that's the way the manufacturers decided to do it. But good point, though. You are right. They should make you be able to understand the concept of floating gears. So good one there.
You know what? That's an old argument. I don't mean to. I'm not putting them down. I don't know that, but floating gears, automatics are here to stay. There's nothing we can do about it, and I think that's an old argument. I mean, it is what it is. Just like someday electric is, but they're not right now. So
yeah.
Once something happens, you can't turn back the clock. The time to take it back.
Yep. I want to play. Oh, go ahead, Frank. Go ahead.
Well, I floated gears for years, but whenever I got into an automatic, honestly, it was the best thing that ever happened with me because one, I didn't have to worry about my leg giving out on me in traffic and it hopping into gear or anything like that. Or the best part is you can actually enjoy a cup of coffee without having to worry about a gear shifting the way or shifting that sucker while you're going down the highway.
Yep. Okay. Let me change one thing real quick here.
Yeah, I think I made a video of things that killed trucking, and one of them was an automatic transmission. The reason why I put that one in there was because at one point in trucking, you had to be like, there were certain things that you had to know how to do, and shifting gears is one of them. Now you can get a license with an exemption. You can have a job at a carrier where you're driving a 80,000 pound vehicle by yourself on the highway in under 2 weeks. It's insane, but it happens. And so, the whole shifting gear thing, it is part of what caused trucking to fall, but it's part of the past, unfortunately.
Fate says no politician is for you. You know what?
100%.
That is a debatable concept, which we'll take up in a future show if he's so game to it.
I don't think at all.
Say again, John?
I don't think that's debatable at all. There is no politician that's out for you. They're out for themselves.
The show I'm talking about, we'll have after Trump has been in the office for 2 years. That we'll talk about. That's what I'm talking about. I'm trying to key up people to tune in 2 years.
They're all politicians. They're all out to get what they want to get. Don't think any different.
Read his book too while you're at it. I assume he's talking about J.D. Vance's book, but I am only assuming. I'm only the messenger. Former Marine. Okay, good deal. Good start. Thank you. I don't know if you're meaning me or the story. I appreciate the compliment. I'll take it personally if you'd like. And Griff says,
no, he's talking to me, obviously.
Yeah. You get a big head, my friend. Transmission's all manual. It's just you don't have to worry about the clutch and shift it. Well, good point. I mean, even the automatics today, the way they're set up, Frank says he can't do it with his truck, which I don't know what they've done to your truck, but mine, I can shift it just like a manual. I can even skip gears. I can float gears. I can do all that. Just like you can. Just the only difference is you got that automatic setting, so you can just put it to the floor and let the computer do it.
Yeah, they disabled mine.
You don't have a pedal to the left. That's the only difference.
No, that's the only difference. Yeah, third pedal. Yeah, and I still don't get that, Grumpy. Why they did that? That to me seems so unsafe. If you can't control the shifting of your truck, that seems unsafe.
What are you in? What's he in?
I'm in a Cascadia.
Yeah.
What year?
I can manually shift it, but it won't stay in it. In other words, I don't have a hold option. In other words, there's the manual position where you're able to shift it manually yourself totally, and then there's the auto position.
Yeah, okay.
Which with the auto position, you can still manually shift it yourself, but whenever it hits a certain RPM, it's going to kick up.
There's usually three modes. Right. There's economy, there's performance, and then the third mode is usually manual. And when you put it in manual, you can top rev that sucker and it'll do that rev limiter until you actually advance to the next gear. Yours don't allow you to do that?
Nope.
That's weird. That is and you think the company did that, or you think the manufacturer did that?
Company did it.
Did they?
I already asked about it.
That's a downright shame and dangerous. So your company has my vote against making your equipment safer for your drivers. Full stop. So I got my 2 cents.
I hate to say it, but my company does a lot of things that I don't agree with. Unfortunately, currently it's the only one I'm able to get home every weekend with. So that's about the only reason why I'm still working with them.
All right.
Hey, read WCF Invaders' last comment. The last one that popped up.
Yeah. Hold on a minute. And what? Okay. I think I get what he's saying. WCF Invaders says, what is the least reliable part of every Swift truck? The nut keeping a steering wheel in place? Oh, you should get on This Guy Trucks and leave that comment. Anyway, that's all I'm saying. Don't. All right, let me get on to our next story. Our next story, I want to start off on a good note with the following. Give me just a moment. If it'll play for me, be nice.
Now, what does this mean for you and for me and a lot of other industries out there? Government agencies such as the EPA, the DOT, CDC, OSHA, these are the type of agencies that have been able to basically put in rules and regulations without passing.
All right. I don't know if you guys are hearing the audio on that or not.
Yeah, but he sounds like a robot.
Okay. All right. Well, then, John.
I will say, though, that was a very attractive but man, I think I have a man crush on the guy.
Well, I'm
interesting.
I'm going to work on my screen share tech and all this. I was trying to get the question you were asking during that clip. If you heard that question, tell us about the video and tell us about the question asked. I want to explore that further.
Are you talking to me? Because I'm not sure what question you were talking about.
The question asked in the video I just played.
It wasn't recognizable when I couldn't hear it. But
unfortunately, I had it queued up, but I didn't record the question as something. I tell you what, let me move on to the way I originally wanted to start this whole thing. All right. First of all, let's talk about Chevron, okay? Because that's the latest story, and that's basically what I want to cover in this. All right. The Chevron deference. Okay, what is it, and how does it impact us? Chevron was a case that led to a judicial doctrine that when an agency was promulgating a substantive rule with legal effect under an Administrative Procedures Act, there was some ambiguity in authorizing a statute enacted by Congress. All right. It said courts should defer to an agency's interpretation of said statute as long as it's reasonable. Okay. That was back in '84. And that was the decision that they made. They gave basically agencies power to make whatever rules they wanted and affect the changes those rules had on you and me without any argument. Now, all this time later, a recent Supreme Court ruling said a doctrine that used to give federal agencies like the EPA and FMCSA the power to interpret laws pretty much on their own, they took that away from them. They said, now you have to go through Congress to enact any of these laws. You might be wondering, why does this matter to us? Well, this change means now courts have more say in interpreting laws, and they don't automatically now defer what these agencies think. This could spell trouble for all these emissions regulations, safety rules, the requirements we were talking about in story 1, and exactly how much influence these politicians have, which we highlighted in story 2. For years, courts have been interpreting laws in a way that often gave agencies the upper hand. Now, the power shifts to the courts. And that was the point that you were making, John, in the video you did on your channel not long ago. And the question I think you were offering at the time, what does it mean for us? So in your interpretation and in your opinion, without spoiling the video, what do you think it does mean?
Well, I do think people need to go watch that video because there's a lot more to that video than just this one. But I will tell you, what it means for us is now we actually have a dog in the fight. Before, if you didn't like a regulation, there was nothing you could do. You take it to court, the court would say, oh, no, that's because of Chevron, the agency handles that. And then the agency would be like, well, that's our ruling. And so there was nothing you could do. Well, now you can actually take them to court, and the court has to listen. And if you get into a court that favors industry and trucking, you know, some of these rules could go bye-bye. But you have to be willing to fight and put the money where the mouth is.
Right. Somebody's taking issue. I don't know who he's calling out, but he's calling out somebody. He's
he's calling me out. I was waiting for this comment.
Yeah, he's being funny.
Can I respond?
Go ahead.
All right. He says, John, I'm calling you out. You can read the comments right there on the bottom of the screen. All right. Yep. He's calling me out because this guy back here.
Yep.
This guy right back here. Nice big long hood truck.
Yep.
And I drive a plastic truck. Well, first of all, I'm a company guy. I don't have a choice. But even when I was an owner operator, I drove a plastic truck. Not because it's my favorite truck in the world. Okay. All of us with the double stacks with the smoke rolling out. Come on. All of us want that, but it doesn't make the most amount of money. And so I got to do what's best for me and my family. And that means I got to drive an ugly plastic truck. I'm going to drive an ugly plastic truck. When money doesn't matter, that's when you see that guy come out on the road.
That's right. There you go.
So call me out again. I got you, 7Cs. I got you.
There you go. Calling you out again. Flames and all. This is one for you, Grumpy. What does DOT stand for? You said something earlier. I told you it was coming. He says Department of Tickets. All right, now I'll see myself out. Good one. I like that one. That was a good one. Yep. What did you call it earlier, Frank? Department of what?
Department of Thoughts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that. I like yours too. Sorry, didn't see the 100 politicians thing. What do you call it? I think he said wind tunnel. I don't know if that makes sense. But.
I said he answers in the next comment.
Oh, does he? Good start. Cute. Okay, I'll leave that one alone. Staying monetized. Thank you. Loving the funny jokes, but not funny because it's so true. There you go. All right, seriously, back to the Chevron thing. All right, I mean, think about it. And here's an honest opinion. Now, I just put out a video myself. It's getting a lot of airplay right now, talking about the FMCSA and their decision to make changes to the ELD rules. You would not believe the amount of comments of people that say they oppose the idea of being told by an electronic logging device when to drive, when not to. They had their way, they do away with them. Well, here's the thing. All those people in my video making all these comments, you have a reason now to stay tuned to this channel. You have a reason to stay tuned to news media in general, because now that this Chevron thing is the way it is, now we as American industry have a chance to take these doctrines and these mandates, if you will, directly to the courts where they belong and be challenged to actually be put into law or set aside. That's what this whole thing means. If you don't like something, it's going to cost you. It's going to be expensive, but we can now challenge it. Where before this ruling, we had no choice. We had to because it was law. Well, guess what? Now we can challenge the law. What do you think, John?
Yeah, that's kind of what I said earlier. Basically, I think. See, the thing that most people don't realize in that video, I point out where it started, and I think that's important to know. It didn't start so that regulations could be overwhelming on all of us. I'm not going to watch the video on my channel, and while you're there, just make sure you subscribe. But that's not where it started. But see, as every law that they pass has unforeseen consequences, that was one of them. Just like anything they're passing right now will have unforeseen consequences. It's true for every law that we have.
Yep.
Well, Grumpy's going to ask a stupid question. I want to know how and when exactly this Chevron thing was invented and came about. I know of Chevron, but I just want to know what made them think they were the big ace on the wheel and could grease it anytime they felt like it.
John, there you go.
I will tell you.
You talked about it.
I'll tell you a little bit about it. I'll tell you a little bit. I'm not going to tell you everything because you have to watch the video. But in 1984, it started, and it was to basically help the to streamline deregulation. All I'm telling you.
All because of a certain fish and a group of fishermen being sued over where they catch them and how much they catch.
Oh, so that's basically what started it.
Yes, it's an interesting start because an industry was threatened.
Chevron isn't actually the fuel company. It's actually the name of the fish.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Oh.
Yep.
Okay, now that makes more sense.
And that's what made me put the thumbnail up because everybody thinks that it's a fuel company.
All this wonderful contamination they dumped in the oceans all these years and are probably still doing it whether the people know it or not. That's okay, but boy, let's pick on the truck drivers because they're the ones doing it.
Yeah, we I get your point, Grumpy.
Now I'm getting grumpy.
Yeah, good call though. See now, go make a video. Anyway, so let me ask you a question. What specific regulations do you find in our industry today? And guys, if you're in the audience, put this in the comments. I want to start this conversation. We got time left. I want to know from you, what specific regulations do you guys find most disturbing and deserve the most attention to be changed, whether or not Trump comes in office? But just because now we have the chance and the open door to do it, what do you think we should tackle first and foremost? Any thoughts, guys? As we wait
the DPF system.
Yeah.
The whole aftermarket treatment system. All that does is create more issues, more repairs, more expense. If they got rid of that, a lot of the issues that we would have when it comes to mechanical breakdowns, anymore. That thing has created more issues for truckers than any other regulation. My opinion.
Say the current current litigation going on from several states trying to stop California's zero emissions laws and regulations. You think all that could stop?
No.
Think that's a possibility? Because I mean,
first of all, the California thing, they weren't really laws. They were strong suggestions. They haven't made a law yet. But
right, California is using the EPA to backbone this push outside their state to force others to comply. Now if the Chevron thing holds up and this whole idea of changing, based on agency law, no, they got to stop now because now the EPA can't pass laws anymore. And how far back do you think we're going to have to go to say, look, that can't be law anymore. We're challenging it. You know, it could
40 years.
undermine
Anything in
Newsom's
that 40
whole
years.
plan. Yeah.
Anything in that 40 years that has come up is up for debate. If you got the money and you want to go fight the battle, now's the time to do it because it's up for debate.
Yep, exactly.
Now that doesn't mean go get your truck delayed in house without your logbooks or without ELDs. No, don't do that. Like you have to go fight the battle before you get the benefit, unfortunately. But that's how it works.
Yep.
Everything has to go through a legal litigation before you can do something.
Yep, that's very true.
Wait a minute. Did John freeze? Hello.
No, he's
Oh,
there.
okay. I saw his eyeballs move.
Well, I usually change the screen, so a lot of that's my fault. One more question,
Welcome
guys.
to the adventures of John.
Right? Yeah. I mean, more to the point I just made, do you think the courts having more power to interpret laws will lead to more clarity, maybe, and more fairness in what's passed from this point forward? Or what do you think? Do you think that's behind story number one in now delaying all of these decisions? Think there's a correlation there? What do you think, Grumpy?
If people stand up and start challenging, nothing's going to change. That's the thing. Our government has a bad habit of using precedent that's unconstitutional over and over again. Yeah. So until it's challenged, they're going to keep making regulations. Someone's going to have to step up and say, no. That no longer exists.
Yeah. Hi, Grumpy. I'm John.
Huh? Well, come on, Grumpy. Tell me your thoughts, too. I originally asked him. I originally asked him. You piped up. I just let you go. That's why he was. You got to forgive John. He's a little slow on the uptake because he's got this hearing thing go on. You know, his iPhone is a little behind time today. Sorry, just have to pick on you, buddy.
What was the question again? I've gotten carried away here.
As it relates to the first story we covered, now, do you think that now the courts having more power and more ability to interpret laws the way they should be rather than the way they have been is going to be more favorable to the trucking industry and be more fair to us passing laws from here forward? What do you think?
Honestly, it's going to take some work on it. They're going to have to look it over, and then they're going to have to make big decisions. It's not going to happen overnight. So,
WCF Invader says, I'd argue the requirement of ultra-low sulfur diesel needs to go bye-bye. Low sulfur diesel is exceedingly expensive to produce. Go back to low sulfur diesel for low diesel price. Well, I mean, we are where we are. I mean, you can't all of a sudden redesign refineries now to go to, because I don't know about you, but I don't want dirty diesel. I'm sorry. If you get crude overseas, it's dirty as hell. It has to be refined, and it has to be turned into what we have in the pumps today. Otherwise, we're gonna start having issues with the rings, with the overheads, and everything else that is involved with combustion of diesel. You don't want that. So
I don't think he's talking about dirty diesel. I think he's talking about right now they take an extra step to make it ultra low sulfur.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think
sulfur.
Anything if they
that's
brought
part
that
of
back.
that refining. I thought that was part of that refining process.
Sulfur was actually a very good lubricant for a diesel engine, believe it or not.
Yeah.
When they removed part of it and knocked it way down, they had to improvise and put something else in, which is harder on the engines.
Yeah.
So that's what he's probably referring to.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I don't claim to know it all, but I do know that changing the refining process is buco expensive. So I'm not all for that because that by itself will raise the price of the product. So
I don't think it would take much to go back to refining it the way it used to be. It probably costs more to get it fixed the way they refine it now than it did to go back.
Broken Up Tyrants, I appreciate your comment. Anything to keep drivers safer and having less accidents. So they still produce low sulfur. They just run them in cargo ships in international waters. Okay, good deal. Drive mixer been in front of curb machine is really nice in an automatic, especially if it's a bad operator. Yeah. Like I said earlier, anything to keep guys safe and not distracted. I mean, some of these guys just really, you don't want them handling a gear shifter because they can barely handle a DMGPS and, not run into things.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And one more thing.
Go ahead.
So, guys, as I'm watching these comments and I'm watching my channel off to the side, and I know that there's 3 or 4 channels that are hooked up to this. Guys, if you're on a channel, subscribe to the one you're on. Then go to Grumpy Trucker, Truckin City Media, Driving with John. There's also a guy called Midlife Trucker. I don't know if he shared it out today, but if he did, go check him out. Guys, supporting us will help the show go on week after week after week. So we really do appreciate it and thank everybody. So
Yes.
John,
I didn't mean to interrupt the show, but I just felt like I wanted to give some gratitude out and tell you guys, you guys, if they are willing to come watch, I'm willing to show up and talk about it. So.
Amen to that. This show is all about making changes, and it's all about helping make your truck great again. That's all it is. We talk news, we talk topics, and we talk it for your benefit, guys. One more question on this whole Chevron discussion we're having, and that's looking at enforcement of current regulations going forward. Do you think there's a possibility that we're going to see some positive changes? What are your thoughts? Grumpy, you first.
I'll be honest with you. Like I said earlier, I want to see it on the black and white pieces of paper and see what they're going to do. Because, I mean, they can all speak as all they want, but until they prove and show, it's no go.
Yep. What are your thoughts, John? You're looking at enforcement of rules and laws moving forward based on the fact that we now have this Chevron thing, and it is a thing, as it were. Do you think it's going to help that, or do you think it's going to make no difference at all?
I'd say nothing's going to change, but once somebody will be somebody that does, then I think that's when the world starts changing for us.
Noted.
We'll see.
Yep. Very true. Very true.
Only time will tell.
This is very true. Very true, guys. And you know what? Ladies and gentlemen, what's happening in our world today, safety, VP choices, politics, and the ever-loving Chevron doctrine, it's all up for debate. We don't know exactly what's going to happen come the future. But one thing I can tell you is that when it comes to trucking news, we will be here letting you know what we think and giving you a voice to, once again, make trucking great again. This is a crucial moment in history, and this is not the last time we'll be here talking about it. So be well warned, subscribe, like, look to the future. It's going to look good. Stay informed, stay challenged. Until next time, guys, remember, it's the trucks that make the deliveries, but it's you that makes the difference. Till we talk again, guys, keep the faith, keep it real, and keep it rolling.